They don't put in extra work. They don't go above and beyond to hone their skills, improve their game. This is a club. This is a get-together. This is a player meet and greet. This is a hangout, and the WNBA is just where they choose to hang out. And the NBA and the owners within the league, they're funding this hangout.
The WNBA is in full-blown panic mode, and it's not because of poor ratings or declining attendance. No, this time they're sweating bullets over something much more threatening. The Unrivaled league dangling a massive payday in front of their golden goose, Caitlin Clark.
Can you feel it? Can you feel the panic reverberating throughout the WNBA dump? WNBA players think they have leverage. Keyword, think. Now, in their defense, they do have leverage in the short term.
After months of watching their own players complain about poverty wages while generating record revenues, the league is now facing their worst nightmare, a competitor that actually pays women's basketball players what they're worth.
Now, I don't know what to believe from financials, but they got a lot of money backing them from TNT Sports and a lot of investors. And word has it that they came within $10 million of breaking even their first season. That's damn sight a lot. That's damn sight a lot better than the WNBA's done ever.
Let's be crystal clear about what's happening here. Unrivaled, the 3-on-3 startup league that's been making headlines since January, just wrapped up its inaugural season, and the numbers are absolutely staggering.
Unrivaled will forever change the WNBA.
For sure.
And the way that they do business, the way that they treat their players, any agreement going forward. Unrivaled did things that were unprecedented. And I think it showed players their value, and players in that upcoming CBA are going to ask for everything. And I think that they're going to have to make something work if they want to see the product on TV, right?
Players average $220,000 for just 8 weeks of basketball. That's nearly 3 times what the average WNBA player makes for an entire season. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark, the woman who single-handedly revived interest in women's basketball, is making a measly $78,066 in her second year with the Indiana Fever. The math is so insulting, it's almost criminal.
Essentially stalled for a new collective bargaining agreement in the WNBA. For the first time ever, WNBA players think they have leverage. Keyword, think. Now, in their defense, they do have leverage in the short term. The problem is, if this short-term leverage is used and the 2026 WNBA season is canceled, it could have devastating long-term impacts on pretend basketball.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Unrivaled isn't just throwing money around for fun. They know exactly what they're doing. League president Alex Bazell confirmed that player salaries will increase even more in 2026 after their debut season exceeded every financial projection they had. The league generated over $27 million in revenue in year one, nearly breaking even when most startup leagues lose millions. And now, they're coming back for round 2 with their sights set squarely on the one player who could transform them from a successful experiment into a legitimate threat to the WNBA's monopoly.
I'm wondering, will the WNBA get within $10 million this season? I kind of doubt it, considering Caitlin Clark's missed, 13, 14 games or something like that? We saw ticket prices plummeted. We know the ratings have gone down in games that she's not involved with, which has drove the ratings down across the league. So I don't know.
If you are enjoying, please subscribe. The desperation from WNBA players couldn't be more obvious. During the 2025 All-Star Game in Indianapolis, every single player walked onto the court wearing black t-shirts that read, "Pay us what you owe us." Over 40 players attended a contentious meeting with league officials, marking the highest participation in league history. They opted out of their current collective bargaining agreement and are now demanding salary caps of $45 million per team and individual salaries up to $1 million. But here's the kicker. They're making these demands from a league that just lost $40 million in its most successful year ever.
In the All-Star Game, wearing "Pay us what you owe us" t-shirts, WNBA players whose salaries are subsidized by the NBA wear t-shirts declaring "Pay us what you owe us." They must have thought this was a great idea. Oh, folks, we're really going to stick it to the owners. We are really going to stick it to the league. We're going to walk out in solidarity with a t-shirt that says, pay us what you owe us, and then they'll have no choice but to pay us what they owe us. Now, my question is, what exactly?
The timing couldn't be more perfect for Unrivaled to strike. While WNBA players are begging for scraps from a league that's hemorrhaging money, Unrivaled is proving that women's basketball can be profitable while actually paying players what they deserve. The contrast is so stark, it's embarrassing. Angel Reese won $50,000 just for winning the Unrivaled championship. That's more than 2/3 of her entire WNBA rookie contract. Paige Beckers is set to make around $350,000 in her first year with Unrivaled, which is more than her entire 4-year WNBA rookie deal.
Is that Paige Becker's 10-week commitment to Unrivaled? 10-week commitment, 10 weeks to Unrivaled. She will make more in that first year than she will in the WNBA, where she's only projected to make $78,000. And I know there's still some haters, some unbelievers mad that women decided to bet on themselves, make this startup that is already putting the foot on the gas, right? Already making the WNBA look bad. I understand that. And they're wondering how they're paying for it. Well, Unrivaled made $1 million in ticket sales this year. Unrivaled made over $1 million in merchandise sales this year. And that's not even counting like the jersey stuff.
And now, imagine this scenario. Caitlin Clark signs with Unrivaled for their 2026 season. Suddenly, the league has the most marketable player in women's basketball, a proven revenue generator who can fill arenas and crash streaming platforms. But what if it doesn't stop there? What if Unrivaled decides to evolve from 3-on-3 to full 5-on-5 basketball? They've already hinted at the possibility, with league executives mentioning potential moves to larger arenas and format changes for future seasons. Picture this: Unrivaled 2027. Now a full 5-on-5 league featuring Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Paige Beckers, and every other major star who's tired of being underpaid by the WNBA. They're playing in NBA arenas, broadcasting on TNT, and paying salaries that actually reflect the value these athletes bring to the sport. Meanwhile, the WNBA is left with whoever couldn't get a better offer elsewhere, playing in half-empty arenas while their former stars are filling Madison Square Garden 20 miles away.
Alex Brazel, the co-founder of the 3-on-3 Women's Basketball League, composed of exclusively WNBA players, told Front Office Sports that the league has signed nearly 90% of its player pool for the 2026 season. Quote, "We have a few spots left open to fill, and then we're pretty much ready to go."
The WNBA's response to all this? Pure delusion. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert keeps talking about transformational change and hypergrowth while offering players the same revenue-sharing structure that's kept them in poverty for 28 years. They're essentially telling players, we know you're worth more, but we're going to keep paying you less because reasons. It's like watching someone try to put out a house fire with a garden hose while the fire department is parked outside with better equipment. But the most infuriating part of this whole situation, the WNBA had every opportunity to treat Caitlin Clark like the franchise-saving superstar she is, and instead, they let their own players turn her into a punching bag. They watched as veterans cheap-shotted her, talked trash about her popularity, and made her apologize for bringing attention to their league. It's the most backwards business strategy in sports history, actively sabotaging your own biggest draw because you're jealous of her success.
I've been telling y'all this. The league doesn't like Unrivaled. I'm tired of going back and forth with people that's no business would want you to work for them and then basically replicate their business and try to make it better and all that type of stuff. No business does that. So it baffles my mind how a lot of y'all sit back and think, oh, the WNBA loves Unrivaled. No, they don't.
Meanwhile, Unrivaled is rolling out the red carpet for every player who walks through their doors. They're providing luxury apartments, personal chefs, childcare services, recovery facilities, and even a Sephora-sponsored glam room. They understand that treating athletes like professionals means more than just handing them a paycheck. It means creating an environment where they can thrive both on and off the court. The WNBA's idea of player care is telling them to be grateful for charter flights that they only got after decades of complaining. The financial reality is absolutely damning for the WNBA. Despite all their talk about growth and popularity, they're still losing money hand over fist. The NBA has subsidized their losses for 28 years to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars, and now they're asking for 50% revenue sharing when they only own 42% of their own league. They sold majority control just to keep the lights on, and now they want to negotiate like they're running a profitable business. Compare that to Unrivaled's business model. They raised over $35 million from legitimate investors, secured a $100 million media rights deal with TNT, landed major sponsorships from Samsung, Alley Financial, and Miller Lite, and still managed to pay players more than any women's professional sports league in history. They're not begging the NBA for handouts or making excuses about why they can't pay market rates. They're proving that women's basketball can work as a standalone business.
It continues to show that this league is where people want to be because they treat them right. They're providing the resources for them. They're promoting them the way they should be promoted. And that's what women's basketball players deserve. That's what women deserve. A lot of you may be wondering, well, why can Unrivaled do it and why can't the WNBA do it? The WNBA can do it, but you need to understand can and will and choose to are all different things.
The desperation in WNBA front offices has to be palpable right now. They're watching their best players openly flirt with a competitor that offers better pay, better treatment, and better opportunities. Satu Sabali just announced she's played her last game in Dallas and is looking for a new home. Coincidentally, right after spending time with former Oregon teammate Sabrina Ionescu in Unrivaled. It's not hard to connect those dots, but here's what should really terrify the WNBA. Unrivaled isn't even at full strength yet. They still don't have Caitlin Clark, Aja Wilson, or several other megastars who could transform them overnight. They're already successful without the league's biggest draws. Imagine what happens when they start adding players who can single-handedly double television ratings and triple merchandise sales. The clock is ticking on the WNBA's collective bargaining agreement. They have until October to reach a deal with players, or they risk the first work stoppage in league history. And now they're not just negotiating against their own players, they're competing with a league that's already proven it can do what the WNBA claims is impossible: pay women's basketball players like the professionals they are.
Unrivaled is making moves. Unrivaled is making moves, and they making them in a major way, y'all. They are making moves in a major way. Unrivaled announced the signings of look, they're going and getting the young, popping, upcoming talent. WNBA, y'all better figure something out. Y'all better figure something out. Unrivaled is making moves. We already see the players talking about they are willing to strike. They want what they want. Pay us what you owe. Pay us what you owe.
The most telling part of this whole saga? Even WNBA legends are starting to question the league's approach. When players wore their "Pay Us What You Owe Us" shirts during the All-Star game, the crowd literally chanted, "Pay them!" While Commissioner Engelbert was trying to present awards. The fans get it. The players get it. The only ones who don't seem to understand basic economics are the people running the league. And let's not forget the Caitlin Clark factor in all of this. Every piece of data confirms what everyone with functioning eyeballs already knew. She is the WNBA's biggest draw by an astronomical margin. When she's healthy, Fever games average 1.81 million viewers. When she's injured, that number drops to 847,000, a 53% decline that should have every WNBA executive in emergency meetings. She's not just popular, she's irreplaceable. So when Unrivaled comes calling with an offer that dwarfs her WNBA salary, what exactly is her incentive to stay loyal to a league that treated her like a villain? The WNBA spent her entire rookie season allowing veterans to physically and verbally abuse their own meal ticket, then acted surprised when people started suggesting she might be better off elsewhere. It's organizational malpractice on a level that would get executives fired in any other industry.
Now, the WNBA has allowed players to play in off-season leagues for however long because they know that they are not paying them high enough salaries. Now, the goal of all the WNBA players, including Nafisa and Stewie, which is why they started Unrivaled, is to be able to pay the players more, give them livable wages, make it so they didn't have to go overseas, and I commend them for that. I think it's fantastic what they did with Unrivaled.
The beautiful irony is that Unrivaled was co-founded by Nafisa Collier and Brianna Stewart, two WNBA veterans who got tired of the league's excuses and decided to build something better. They didn't wait for permission or beg for handouts. They went out, raised capital, secured media deals, and created a league that actually values its athletes. It's entrepreneurship at its finest, and it's making the WNBA look like a relic from a bygone era. The expansion to larger arenas and 5-on-5 format isn't just speculation, it's an inevitable evolution. Unrivaled has already proven they can make 3-on-3 work financially. The natural next step is to offer the full basketball experience that fans actually want to see. And when that happens, the WNBA's competitive moat disappears completely. They'll just be another league competing for talent, except they'll be the one with the worst pay, worst treatment, and worst business model. This is what happens when you take your customers for granted for too long. The WNBA spent decades telling players to be grateful for whatever crumbs they were willing to share, never imagining that someone might come along and actually treat these athletes like the valuable assets they are. Now, they're facing existential competition from a league that figured out what they couldn't: how to make women's basketball profitable while paying players fairly.
WNBA is still under this major umbrella of the NBA, and a lot of that affects the way they do things. As long as the WNBA is in this 360 deal with the NBA, you're not going to see them promoting their players, paying their players, all the things that Unrivaled is able to do because they don't have that middleman.
The writing is on the wall, and it's written in dollar signs that add up to everything the WNBA has failed to provide for nearly 3 decades. Unrivaled isn't just offering more money, they're offering respect, equity stakes, and a business model that grows with success rather than in spite of it. They're showing the world what the WNBA could have been if it had been run by people who actually understood the value of the product they were selling. So here we are, watching the WNBA panic as their chickens come home to roost. They had the greatest gift any sports league could ask for: a transcendent superstar who could carry an entire sport on her shoulders, and they let petty jealousy and organizational incompetence turn it into a liability. Meanwhile, Unrivaled is building the future of women's professional basketball, one well-paid athlete at a time. The question isn't whether Unrivaled will continue to grow and compete with the WNBA. The question is whether the WNBA will still exist in its current form once players realize they don't have to accept poverty wages just to play professional basketball. The revolution isn't coming. It's already here, and it's being televised on TNT with competitive salaries and actual respect for the athletes who make it all possible.